Friday night, man. The first ever college football playoff game. Indiana at Notre Dame. Notre Dame 7.5-point favorite, 8 Eastern, ABC, ESPN, South Bend, under touchdown Jesus, and what I would hope is a little bit of a frosty atmosphere just with us getting college football in the month of December, playoff football in the month of December, at a home venue too. Quick sidebar here before we get to the matchup. I love so much that if you were a casual viewer of college football, and you typically would only tune in for a couple of games during the regular season, then you tune in for the college football playoff, the national title game. If you tuned in for those games, especially in the postseason, you were only seeing neutral site games. And I think I'm in the minority where I'm like, I think neutral site games are fun. Like, I'm cool with, games in the Superdome and the games in Atlanta. Like, that's kind of a fun, atmosphere to me to watch. But, there's nothing that holds a candle to a home college football playoff game. And so now those same viewers that only saw games at neutral sites are seeing, whoa, what's that in South Bend, Indiana? Like, whoa, that looks a little bit different than what I've come to expect from college football. They're gonna learn. All right, they're gonna learn today. Is what I'll say. Indiana, man, this is the time for them to leave no doubt. All right, it's time for them to leave no doubt. I think a lot of us, especially after the Ohio State game, were like, I'm here for the Curt Cignetti experience, man. I'm here for him to Google and all that, but I don't know if they're really a college football playoff caliber team. Guess what? We get to find out right now because they get to go to South Bend, Indiana, and play Notre Dame, and a team that's only lost one game in their own right, and make a statement. So I think Indiana has a chance to sort of rewrite their own narrative about who they are and what they've done this season, because the Ohio State game is going to be a thorn in their side as long as we continue this conversation around Curt Cignetti before this game. Not saying Notre Dame's Ohio State, but I do think this will be their best roster talent test, needless to say, since that fateful day in Columbus, Ohio. Now, speaking of rewriting optics and rebranding, this is a massive opportunity for Marcus Freeman to put his stamp on what his Notre Dame experience is, what his Notre Dame brand is going to be. Because I think for a lot of us, we think about Notre Dame under the, 4-team playoff era, and we think about them in the BCS era. And Notre Dame was always one of those teams that would look great in the regular season. They get to the college football playoff and get boat raced by Bama, by Clemson. Or they get to the BCS national title game, and they get just absolutely throttled by an Eddie Lacy Alabama team. If I'm Marcus Freeman, we go win a college football playoff game at our place, they have a chance to reset the narrative of, hey, Notre Dame, you can come here and accomplish whatever you want to accomplish. You can come here and go compete for national titles. This is that old Notre Dame I wasn't a part of from Marcus Freeman. And also, by the way, he just got himself a new deal, which we'll talk about a little bit more as we go on throughout this preview. Smart move by Notre Dame. Spoiler alert. The plan A versus plan A approach here between Notre Dame's offense and Indiana's defense, I'm really excited to watch. Because these teams kind of want to do the same thing, if we're going to keep it a buck now. Notre Dame, they're a 55% run-the-football team. Indiana, they're allowing 2.6 yards a rush. Translation, stingy on defense. Notre Dame, they want to set the tone on offense. So for Notre Dame, man, that's your party starter, right? That's how you get the whole thing going. What if that's not there how you want it to be there? And I'm not trying to dunk on the academies, but Indiana's going to be a different outfit up front than those schools are, or than USC is even. So you put the game on Riley Leonard, how does that go? Because Riley Leonard, as well as he has played as of late, as great as he has been on the ground, he is yet to have a game where he goes over 250 yards passing. Translation, it would require something of him that I don't think you've seen from him to this point in the year. Now, the whole X factor within this is I think arguably one of the most explosive players in this entire college football playoff field is Jeremiah Love, running back from Notre Dame. He's averaging 8 yards a touch. You feed him the football. You go home, if you're Notre Dame, win or lose, and you say, we let Jeremiah Love have as much of an impact on that game as humanly possible. I know he was dinged up previously. Sounds like he's healthy and ready to go. So the responsibility then falls on Indiana. How do you game plan for that? Because this isn't just your run-of-the-mill, give it to Jeremiah Love, get him 3 yards in the cloud of dust. It is split him out, get him in space, got the screen game, got obviously the slashing kind of inside zone run game for him. They're gonna let him cook is the hope. So for Brian Haynes, Indiana's defensive coordinator, we got to find a way to take away that firecracker for Notre Dame offensively. Because you take him away, I don't know there's a ton of other pieces on Notre Dame's offense that worries you. Not to say you can't still get beat, but like I'm not wildly concerned about the vertical pass game for Notre Dame if I'm Indiana. Now, offensively for Indiana, I know the Ohio State game gets a lot of run in our minds, and we'll talk about that more later, but like we should also remind ourselves what Indiana did that first drive against Ohio State. Like they went down the field, you say, okay, Curt Cignetti, I wish I had Googled him before because they're rolling right now. Curtis Rourke's balling, run the football at a high level. But then after they got off the script, after they got through, those first 15 plays, Indiana looked extremely, extremely human. So where I arrive at for Indiana offensively is like, let's make sure we have a great script, obviously, to attack Notre Dame with to start. But like outside of that, we need other answers. And so to me, the answer does become like Curtis Rourke, 6-year playing college football. I need you to be the answer. I need you and Surratt to go and make some plays downfield where like we may not have all the numbers, might not have all the matchups, but like y'all just go and take us above the schematics and get us out of here with a win in the home state of Indiana, mind you. Like that to me has to be the way they go because the Ohio State, like they had 85 yards rushing on the ground against Ohio State. To me, as good as Indiana has been running the football this year, that data point makes me concerned about what they're going to do against Notre Dame's front seven, who's been relatively solid this year. Like, I need a hot start from Indiana, throwing the football. I need answers downfield, and I need us to have pivot points within this game plan to where it's not a thing where we get through our first 15 plays, we're up 7-0, and then Notre Dame just chokes us out the rest of the way because we don't have any other answers. So my question for the gameplay here for both these sides is like, how much of this game is played in a box? Because the styles of what these teams do, again, I think is very similar. Both want to run the football. Both want to stop the run. Both have explosive potential offensively. But I think both teams really, if you could just give them both truth serum and tell them what they want to do, it's like we want to impose our will physically on the opposition and have that be the way that we live. Like we want to control time of possession. We want to run for over 200 yards and have that be the way that we get out of this football game. So with that being said now, you do ask yourself the question, well, is there someone on either side that can separate and make it explosive? The thing that I'm interested to watch here, if it does become a situation where it's just played in the box, who gets leverage first? Like whenever you're doing an arm wrestling match and you and your buddy, sometimes like the first guy just gets leverage, curl the wrist, and like you might be a stalemate for the next 10 minutes, but you just say, hey, the guy who had leverage won. That to me could be the way this whole game goes. The prize pick square that I love, Riley Leonard, 249.5 pass yards. Again, I told you, hasn't gone over that all year long. We'll take the less against a talented Indiana defense. However, I think that Notre Dame and the roster themselves is still superior to what Indiana has. The Ohio State game, I keep going back to it because it's our only data point for how good Indiana has had to be at different points this year. That was their one test. They failed miserably. I love Curt Cignetti. I love Curtis Rourke. I don't love them on the road against Notre Dame. So I'll take what I will say is the more tested team in Notre Dame. As funny as it is to say, I'll take the team that's had to be in fight or flight since week 2 in Notre Dame, and we'll take them to beat Indiana, and I will not take them to cover, just so we're on the same page. So at that point now, if you're Marcus Freeman, just signing another deal with Notre Dame, I think Notre Dame was playing chess here by extending him when they extended him. I think they know what kind of roster they have right now in South Bend. I think they know they got a team that could potentially go on a run and play for the whole darn thing should they get through with Georgia in the next round. So they're saying, hey, we're going to make sure we get some ink dry before we even go on a college football playoff run because we see the potential in this team, see the potential in this roster, and see the potential in a one Marcus Freeman and what his Notre Dame could be should they get things rolling in this college football playoff run. So the Fighting Irish then, we have them advancing, and that game with Georgia be must-see TV. No way around it.